The Jerusalem Bible, Deuteronomy 21:10. When you go to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your God delivers them into your power, and you take prisoners, if you see a beautiful woman among the prisoners, and find her desirable, you may make her your wife, and bring her to your home. She is to shave her head and cut her nails, and take off her prisoner's garb. She is to stay inside your house, and must mourn her father and mother for a full month. Then you may go to her and be a husband to her, and she shall be your wife. Should she cease to please you, you will let her go where she wishes, not selling her for money. You are not to make any profit out of her, since you have had the use of her. If a man has two wives, one loved and the other unloved, and the loved one and the unloved one both bear him children, and if the firstborn son is of the unloved wife, then when the man comes to bequeath his goods to his sons, he may not treat the son of the wife whom he loves as the firstborn, at the expense of the son of the wife he does not love, the true firstborn. He must acknowledge as firstborn the son of the wife he does not love, and give to him a double share of his estate. For this son is the first fruit of his strength, and the right of the firstborn is his. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, who will not listen to the voice of his father or to the voice of his mother, and even when they punish him, still will not pay attention to them, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of the town at the gate of that place. And they shall say to the elders of his town, This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious, and will not listen to us. He is a wastrel and a drunkard. Then all his fellow citizens shall stone him to death. You must banish this evil from your midst. All Israel will hear of it and be afraid. If a man guilty of a capital offense is put to death, and you bring him to a tree, his body must not remain on the tree overnight. You must bury him the same day. For one who has been hanged is accursed of God, and you must not defile the land that Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance. The Jerusalem Bible, Deuteronomy 22. If you see your brother's ox or one of his sheep straying, there must be no evasion. You must take them back to your brother. And if he is not close at hand, or you do not know who he is, you must take them home with you, and keep them by you until your brother comes for them. You will then return them to him. You ought to do the same with his donkey, the same with his cloak, the same with anything your brother loses, and that you find. There must be no evasion. You must not make off when you see your brother's ox or donkey fall on the road, but must help your brother to put it on its feet again. A woman must not wear men's clothes, nor a man put on woman's dress. Anyone who does this is detestable to Yahweh your God. If, when out walking, you come across a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, with chicks or eggs, and the mother bird sitting on the chicks or the eggs, you must not take the mother who is brooding the chicks. Let the mother go. The young you may take for yourself. So shall you prosper and have a long life. When you build a new house, you are to give your roof a parapet. Then your house will not incur blood vengeance through anyone falling from it. You must not sow any other seed in your vineyard, lest the whole of its product become consecrated, both the crop you have sown and the produce of your vineyard. You must not plow with ox and donkey together. You must not wear clothing woven part of wool, part of linen. You ought to make tassels for the four corners of the cloak in which you wrap yourself. If a man marries a wife and sleeps with her, and then turns against her, and taxes her with misconduct, and publicly defames her by saying, I married this woman, and when I slept with her, I did not find the evidence of her virginity, the girl's father and mother must take her and produce the evidence of her virginity before the elders of the town at the gate. The girl's father shall then declare to the elders, I gave this man my daughter for a wife, and he has turned against her, and now he taxes her with misconduct. I found no evidence of virginity in your daughter, he says, but the evidence of my daughter's virginity is here, and they shall spread the cloth out before the elders of the town. Then the elders of the town shall take the man and flog him, and fine him 100 silver shekels for publicly defaming a virgin of Israel, and give this money to the girl's father. She shall remain his wife as long as he lives. He may not repudiate her. But if the accusation that the girl cannot show the evidence of virginity is substantiated, they shall take her to the door of her father's house, and her fellow citizens shall stone her to death for having committed an infamy in Israel by disgracing her father's house. You must banish this evil from your midst. If a man is caught sleeping with another man's wife, both must die, the man who has slept with her and the woman herself. You must banish this evil from Israel. If a virgin is betrothed and a man meets her in the city and sleeps with her, you shall take them both out to the gate of the town and stone them to death, the girl because she did not cry for help in the town, the man because he has violated the wife of his fellow. You must banish this evil from your midst. But if the man has met the betrothed girl in the open country and has taken her by force and lain with her, only the man who lay with her shall die. You must do nothing to the girl, for hers is no capital offense. The case is like that of a man who attacks and kills his fellow. For he came across her in an open country, and the betrothed girl could have cried out without anyone coming to her rescue. If a man meets a virgin who is not betrothed and seizes her and lies with her and is caught in the act, the man who has lain with her must give the girl's father 50 silver shekels. She shall be his wife since he has violated her, and as long as he lives he may not repudiate her. Deuteronomy 23. A man must not take his father's wife, and must not withdraw the skirt of his father's cloak from her. A man whose testicles have been crushed, or whose male member has been cut off, is not to be admitted to the assembly of Yahweh. No bastard is to be admitted to the assembly of Yahweh. No Ammonite or Moabite is to be admitted to the assembly of Yahweh. Not even their descendants to the 10th generation may be admitted to the assembly of Yahweh, and this is for all time, because they did not come to meet you with bread and water when you were on your way out of Egypt, and because they hired Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor in Aram of the two rivers to curse you. But Yahweh your God refused to listen to Balaam, and Yahweh your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahweh your God loved you. Never As long as you live, shall you seek their welfare or their prosperity. You are not to regard the Edomite as detestable, for he is your brother, nor the Egyptian, because you were a stranger in his land. The third generation of children born to these may be admitted to the assembly of Yahweh. When you are in camp, at war with your enemies, you must keep clear of all evil. If any man among you is unclean by reason of a nocturnal emission, he must go out of the camp and not come into it again. Towards the evening he must wash himself, and he may return to the camp at sunset. You are not to regard the Edomite as detestable, for he is your brother. Nor must you have a mattock among you in your equipment. And with this mattock, when you go outside to ease yourself, you must dig a hole and cover your excrement. For Yahweh your God goes about within your camp to guard you and to deliver your enemies to you. Your camp must therefore be a holy place. Yahweh must not see anything improper among you, or he would turn away from you. You must not allow a master to imprison a slave who has escaped from him and come to you. He shall live with you, among you, wherever he pleases, in any one of your towns he chooses. You are not to molest him. There must be no sacred prostitute among the daughters of Israel, and no sacred prostitute among the sons of Israel. You must not bring to the house of Yahweh your God the wages of a prostitute or the earnings of a dog. Whatever vow you have made, for both are detestable to Yahweh your God. You must not lend on interest to your brother, whether the loan be of money or food or anything else that may earn interest. You may demand interest on a loan of a foreigner, but you must not demand interest from your brother, so that Yahweh your God may bless you in all your giving in the land you are to enter and make your own. If you make a vow to Yahweh your God, you must not be lazy in keeping it. Be sure that Yahweh your God requires it, and to withhold it would be a sin. But if you had refrained from making a vow, there would be no sin for you. Whatever passes your lips you must keep, and the vow that you have freely made with your own mouth to Yahweh your God must be fulfilled. If you go through your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, as many as you wish, but you must not put any in your basket. If you go through your neighbor's standing corn, you may pick the ears with your hand, but you must not put a sickle into your neighbor's corn. The Jerusalem Bible, Deuteronomy 24. Supposing a man has taken a wife and consummated the marriage, but she has not pleased him, and he has found some impropriety of which to accuse her. So he has made out a writ of divorce for her, and handed it to her, and then dismissed her from his house. She leaves his home and goes away to become the wife of another man. If this other man takes a dislike to her, and makes out a writ of divorce for her, and hands it to her, and dismisses her from his house, or if this other man who took her as his wife happens to die, her first husband, who has repudiated her, may not take her back as his wife, now that she has been defiled in this way. For that is detestable in the sight of Yahweh, and you must not bring guilt on the land that Yahweh your God gives you for your inheritance. If a man is newly married, he shall not join the army, nor is he to be pestered at home. He shall be left at home free of all obligations for 1 year, to bring joy to the wife he has taken. No man may take a mill or a millstone in pledge. That would be to take life itself in pledge. If anyone is found kidnapping one of his brothers, one of the sons of Israel, whether he makes him his slave or sells him, that thief must die. You must banish this evil from your midst. In a case of leprosy, take care you faithfully observe and follow exactly all that the Levitical priests direct you to do. You are to keep and observe all that I have commanded them. Remember what Yahweh your God did to Miriam when you were on your way out of Egypt. If you are making your fellow a loan on pledge, you are not to go into his house and seize the pledge, whatever it may be. You must stay outside, and the man to whom you are making the loan shall bring the pledge out to you. And if the man is poor, you are not to go to bed with his pledge in your possession. You must return it to him at sunset, so that he can sleep in his cloak and bless you. And it will be a good action on your part in the sight of Yahweh your God. You are not to exploit the hired servant who is poor and destitute, whether he is one of your brothers or a stranger who lives in your towns. You must pay him his wages each day, not allowing the sun to set before you do, for he is poor and anxious for it. Otherwise he may appeal to Yahweh against you, and it would be a sin for you. Fathers may not be put to death for their sons, nor sons for fathers. Each is to be put to death for his own. You must not pervert justice in dealing with a stranger or an orphan, nor take a widow's garment in pledge. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and that Yahweh your God redeemed you from there. That is why I lay this charge on you. When reaping the harvest in your field, if you have overlooked a sheaf in that field, do not go back for it. Leave it for the stranger, the orphan, and the widow, so that Yahweh your God may bless you in all your undertakings. When you beat your olive trees, you must not go over the branches twice. Let anything left be for the stranger, the orphan, and the widow. When you harvest your vineyard, you must not pick it over a second time. Let anything left be for the stranger, the orphan, and the widow. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. That is why I lay this charge on you. The Jerusalem Bible, Deuteronomy 25. If a man have any dispute, they must go to court for the judges to decide between them. These must declare the one who is right to be in the right, the one who is in the wrong to be in the wrong. If the one who is in the wrong deserves a flogging, the judge shall make him lie down and have him flogged in his presence, with the number of strokes proportionate to his offense. He may impose 40 strokes, but no more, lest the flogging be too severe, and your brother be degraded in your eyes. You must not muzzle an ox when it is treading out the corn. If brothers live together, and one of them dies childless, the dead man's wife must not marry a stranger outside the family. Her husband's brother must come to her, and exercising his levirate, make her his wife. And the first son she bears shall assume the dead brother's name, and so his name will not be blotted out in Israel. But if the man declines to take his brother's wife, she must go to the elders at the gate and say, I have no lever willing to perpetuate the name of his brother in Israel. He declines to exercise his levirate in my favor. The elders of the town shall summon the man and talk to him. If he appears before them and shall say, I refuse to take her, then she to whom he owes levirate shall go up to him in the presence of the elders, take the sandal off his foot, spit in his face, and pronounce the following words, This is what we do to the man who does not restore his brother's house. And the man shall be surnamed in Israel, House of the Unshod. When two men are fighting together, if the wife of one intervenes to protect her husband from the other's blows by putting out her hand and seizing the other by the private parts, you shall cut her hand off and show no pity. You are not to keep two different weights in your bag, one heavy, one light. You are not to keep two different measures in your house, one large, one small. You must keep one weight, full and accurate, so that you may have a long life in the land that Yahweh your God is giving you. For anyone who does things of this kind and acts dishonestly is detestable to Yahweh your God. Remember how Amalek treated you when you were on your way out of Egypt. He met you on your way, and after you had gone by, he fell on you from the rear and cut off the stragglers. When you were faint and weary, he had no fear of God. When Yahweh your God has granted you peace from all the enemies surrounding you in the land Yahweh your God is giving you to possess as an inheritance, you ought to blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget. The Jerusalem Bible, Isaiah 54, 1 through 10. Shout for joy, you barren women who bore no children. Break into cries of joy and gladness, you who are never in labor. For the sons of the forsaken are more than number than the sons of the wedded wife, says Yahweh. Widen the space of your tents, stretch out your hangings fierily. Lengthen your ropes, make your pegs firm. For you will burst out to right and to left. Your race will take possession of the nations and people of the abandoned cities. Do not be afraid, you will not be put to shame. Do not be dismayed, you will not be disgraced. For you will forget the shame of your youth, and no longer remember the curse of your widowhood. For now your Creator will be your husband, his name Yahweh Sabaoth. Your Redeemer will be the Holy One of Israel. He is called the God of the whole earth. Yes, like a forsaken wife, distressed in spirit, Yahweh calls you back. Does a man cast off the wife of his youth, says your God? I did forsake you for a brief moment, but with great love will I take you back. In excess of anger, for a moment I hid my face from you, but with everlasting love I have taken pity on you, says Yahweh your Redeemer. I am now as I was in the days of Noah, when I swore that Noah's waters should never flood the world again. So now I swear concerning my anger with you and the threats I made against you. For the mountains may depart, the hills be shaken, but my love for you will never leave you, and my covenant of peace with you will never be shaken, says Yahweh, who takes pity on you. The Jerusalem Bible, 1 Corinthians 5:1-5. I have been told as an undoubted fact that one of you is living with his father's wife. This is a case of sexual immorality among you that must be unparalleled even among pagans. How can you be so proud of yourselves? You should be in mourning. A man who does a thing like that ought to have been expelled from the community. Though I am far away in body, I am with you in spirit, and have already condemned the man who did this thing as if I were actually present. When you are assembled together in the name of the Lord Jesus, and I am spiritually present with you, then with the power of our Lord Jesus, he is to be handed over to Satan, so that his sensual body may be destroyed and his spirit saved on the day of the Lord.